all of it, what's it mean when it goes forward for Vladimir Putin, Russia? You've seen the economy tanking over the last 12 hours because of the sanctions taking effect there. We're going to get the latest from him on that situation and so much more going on today. Plus, some of the reporting that's been done locally here about North Dakota's investments, people traveling, all of that's going to be on the table today. You're welcome to join us all day at the Laney Studio line at 237-594. And, of course, the text club open, iConsultants of North Dakota, text club at 35270. If you miss, we have this crosstalk between It Takes Two Afternoons Live, in which we just visit, and then we roll on, and I take over the airwaves, and they go back to doing their things off air. And we're talking about ranch, and somebody says spicy ranch is awesome. Do not disagree. Spicy ranch, top notch. The thing is, when we talk about it, maybe this was in reference because it said there's just too many options now. You go into the grocery store and you just want to go and get some basic ranch. You spend minutes with your eyes just shifting across the multiple different types of ranch to make sure that you get the right one. Spicy here. Recommendation for you. Now, I'm not sure, not everyone's a fan of sriracha, but if you get your regular ranch, I don't care if it's Kraft, if it's Hidden Valley or whatever, which I don't care what brand it is, but you go ahead and you just add a little sriracha to that, you mix that up, that'll spice it up for you. That's my recommendation for you. Take it, leave it, doesn't matter to me. That's what we end up doing when we want to spice it up just a little bit when it comes to our ranch. So thanks for sending that in. No disagreements, just saying there's other ways in which you can accomplish that as well. If you've been following along over the weekend, my question, are you surprised at what you're witnessing when it comes to just the countries coming together, I think, at such a rapid rate to oppose this war in Ukraine? I don't think a lot of people saw it coming together as quickly as it did. That's what I'm going to be asking Dr. Thomas Ambrosio here in about 2 minutes' time about that. But also, you're starting to see what the impacts are on Russia. I just talked about the economy collapsing over there as far as I think the ruble is a penny. It's worth about a penny in the U.S. dollars compared to what it was earlier. So if you box someone like Vladimir Putin into a corner, in which he starts feeling that maybe he's losing the situation, does he accept that or what? Is a question that's on my mind. I would encourage you, if you've got questions about the situation, what might be coming next, he takes your questions at 35270. You send them in right now, and I'll ask Dr. Thomas Ambrosio right after this. I'm Tyler Rax. This afternoon is live. We're just getting started here on a Monday afternoon. Stay with us.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Paul Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
As we're watching intently over the weekend as the situation, the war in Ukraine continued on, and I'm wondering, I found myself surprised with the rapid rate of which you had allies coming together with strong sanctions and just really the unification of the West. I'm curious if the man that follows this for his life work, Dr. Thomas Ambrosio from NDSU, felt the same way. He joins us right now. Dr. Ambrosio, I appreciate you taking time. I know how busy this afternoon is for you. My first. Are you surprised as to how rapid things came together when it comes to NATO and allies as I was?
I'm actually, yes, very surprised, but also how rapidly Germany switched. So initially Germany was being tepid about what they would do vis-a-vis Russia. And then we saw yesterday this complete change in the fundamentals of German foreign policy. So Germany has never sent lethal aid to a conflict zone since World War II. They are now doing it in terms of Ukraine. They're also increasing their military spending to the 2% guideline that NATO has, which they have been hesitant to do. They have taken a much harder line. They've also accepted the removal of some Russian banks from the SWIFT bank processing system, which they were also hesitant to do. So my sense is that almost all of the West was united, and Germany came under intense pressure to move from a soft line towards Russia, or a softer line towards Russia, to basically falling in line with the rest of the West.
I'll just ask a question: is this rapid, just in a matter of days? I mean, this completely feels like it reshaped just the international order, as far as you have NATO being, I think, more unified than what we had seen in a long time. You've got now Russia so isolated by the appearances here that it almost seems like they were exposed for being fake, as far as how much might that they had. Am I reading the situation wrong?
Well, in terms of might, we'll have to see how things develop, and things are developing in a probably a more violent situation we've even seen up to this point. But Russia certainly underestimated their ability to rapidly cause the Ukrainian government to collapse. They underestimated their military capabilities in terms of going in, and it looks horrific to us, but really with a lighter touch than we would expect from Russian military doctrine. And they really underestimated what this would be politically. If you kind of move in very quickly, take out the Ukrainian government, it collapses or whatever, and you create kind of a new status quo, it may not have been so bad for Russia. But they've gotten exactly the opposite of what they wanted. Now they have a more united NATO. You have a more united European Union. And in fact, the European Union is now, for the first time in its history, also going to be sending lethal aid to Ukraine, military equipment. So that's something they have not done before. So whatever Russia thought it was going to get in this initial less than a week, it has not gotten, and in fact got just the opposite.
Well, and that's where, when it comes to our intelligence, it seems as though they had everything right except for how quickly Russia would be able to accomplish its ends. But everything you just laid out, Russia and Vladimir Putin getting the exact opposite of what they thought. You put somebody like Putin into a corner here, and he starts realizing or getting the assumption or the feeling that he's losing this situation. I mean, is he one that accepts that, or is this the caged animal in a corner and then look out?
That is a real danger here. There is a way that Putin could save face, possibly, but he'd have to come back from a large number of his public statements. But he could just say, we did our military operation, we protected the Donbass region, we're good. But a lot of the statements he's made, and in fact, he made some specific demands of in terms of his discussion with the French president today, which are simply not going to be acceptable to the West, and there's no way that Russia could save face by making these demands. what we're likely to see is that Russia realizes that this quick military strike failed, and now it's going to gear up for a more sustained assault on Ukraine. We haven't seen a real assault on Ukraine yet. Again, it looks horrific to us, but the capacity of the Russian military has not been brought to bear yet. And we're likely to see true combined arms, which means planes, artillery, infantry, tanks, all attacking simultaneously, and especially the artillery barrages, which Russian military doctrine has as kind of the key cornerstone of its doctrine, which means that we're going to probably see much more sustained casualties, especially in the cities.
If you have a question for Dr. Thomas Ambrosi, you can send those into 35270. You mentioned that this looks horrific to us. It is, and it could get worse. There's already claims that some of the attacks on civilian infrastructure, schools, hospitals, ambulance first responders are war crimes. If that's the case, let's say this does become resolved somehow. Putin tries to save face. What happens with those alleged war crimes? Does this end up in an international court system? Explain that to me, Doctor.
Well, neither Ukraine nor Russia are members of the International Criminal Court. However, Ukraine has given limited jurisdiction to that court for crimes that have been committed earlier, and they could extend that. So that's a possibility. And that's, if I was Ukraine, I probably would do that. Of course, you'd have to actually get him into custody. There's no world police that's going to go in and arrest Vladimir Putin. So I think he's relatively insulated from that. But we have seen leaders kind of overthrown and then handed over to the courts. And it's happened in Serbia. It happened, I believe it's also happened in Sudan. That's a possibility, but I think that's a remote possibility and something really should be thinking about right now. And now, whether or not these are war crimes is a different story, but actually being punished for it, probably not in the cards at the moment.
Right. And the overthrow thing, I want to take that for a walk because we're watching as this morning, I mean, their markets closed today, and then they said this would be closed tomorrow because their economy taking a big hit because of those unified sanctions. Does that, Putin, is he isolated from the impact that he's basically responsible for that's hurting the average Russian as far as what their ruple's worth these days, or is he isolated from that as well?
He's probably isolated from the average Russian, but the oligarchs are a different story. So the people that no leader rules by themselves. They rely on others. For Vladimir Putin, he relies on security services, but also on the elites. And they have made a lot of money off of the Vladimir Putin regime. The thing is, now we're messing with their money, and that could create a real problem. And they could potentially look elsewhere for leadership. Also, these sanctions have hit Russia's sovereign debt or sovereign assets, which they have been building up for practically a decade, but certainly the last several years, to soften the blow of any possible sanctions, as if they were planning this. But a lot of those have already been seized as well, and that's a real problem because now Russia will not be able to pay off what it needs to sustain itself. So if you don't have that access to that money, then we're talking a serious economic problem.
Some messages are coming in for you, Doctor. And this one I'll throw your way and just get your take. Tyler, how can the U.S. help the humanitarian crisis of refugees trying to get into Poland and other neighbors, and then helping the host countries accommodate when they arrive? You have any thoughts on this humanitarian crisis that we're seeing play out with refugees?
Yeah, we are seeing, I think about it right now, they already said 500,000 refugees have gone over the border. We'll be providing aid to those societies, us, the United States, as well as the European Union, to, in particular, Poland, but also Hungary, a fewer number of people are going to Hungary, but probably helping Poland deal with this. The Germans also came out and said that they were willing to host whatever number of refugees they needed to. So that is going to take the burden off of Poland, but we'll continue with that process. In terms of humanitarian relief within Ukraine, the problem becomes we're actually trying to get then that relief into an active war zone. And you can't fly planes in. You could potentially do trucks, but most of the fighting is far away from where you'd be coming in from. And you would not want to expose humanitarian aid to potential Russian attacks, because a humanitarian convoy looks just like a military convoy from the air.
Other messages coming in. I'm going to broaden this one out because it's asking in particular about Keystone Pipeline. But one wondering, there's been a lot of talk about, okay, sanctions are one thing, but you're still paying to import their oil. Do you see any movement on our side of this whole equation that, look, we're going to start developing more of our own energy? Or I know that Germany, for example, you talk about how quickly they've turned around with their Nord Stream 2. Any thoughts on just how we can pull back on getting oil and energy from Russia?
Well, that's also part of this equation in terms of what's really shifted, is that the Germans have now realized, and this has been building for a while, but there's they have to reduce their dependence upon Russia for their natural gas and their oil. So we have to search elsewhere, especially natural gas. So that's going to spur or spark not just green energy, but looking for alternatives elsewhere. So we will see this sea change in energy production, and trying to figure out ways to get it from point A to Europe where it's needed, and not go through Russia.
Well, and that's a question I'm going to be asking of another guest here at another time about, we think energy independence in America. Well, what would that actually look like? Is it even feasible to get to that point where we're not reliant on Russia for oil, for example? Doctor, what am I missing today about this that either surprised you, said, hey, this is something you have to be watching for as you're consuming this war?
There's been a lot of talk, almost very dramatic talk about Russia putting its nuclear forces on high alert. That's signaling to the West. I don't think it's a serious threat. It's signaling to say, stay out of this. But so that's something to keep in mind, that we shouldn't over exaggerate that. But I think that the key is going to be, especially over the next couple of days, how desperate do the Russians become in terms of inflicting the full weight of their military onto Ukraine? This war is serious, but it's not to the level that it very well could be. And we might see that shift over, again, the next couple of days or within the next week, in which this becomes a real grind in which you have large number of civilians being killed, which is going to be terrible.
Wow. Hoping that we don't go down that path, but one way or another, Doctor, I'm sure we'll be having a conversation yet again, maybe later this week or as this does unfold. I know how busy you are. You got a big presentation coming up here in about 30 minutes time, so I do very much appreciate you joining us this afternoon. You take care, all right?
Thank you for having me.
Yep, you bet. Dr. Thomas Ambrosio, NDSU professor of political science, knows this stuff inside and out. More of your thoughts coming into the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. I will get back to your commentary on this whole situation right after this KFGO News.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what.
KFGO News, mostly sunny, 36 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. The Grand Forks County Sheriff's Office has released the name of a man who is accused of breaking into a home on Highway 81 south of Grand Forks and threatening 2 residents with a gun. Joseph Espinoza forced his way into the home late yesterday morning after driving a stolen car into the ditch. Sheriff Andy Schneider says the homeowner grabbed a gun to defend himself when there was a struggle. Schneider says Espinoza took the gun and fired several shots inside the house. Deputies encountered Espinoza in the driveway. He was shot on the leg when he refused to put the gun down. One of the residents suffered a cut to his hand. 2 deputies have been placed on standard administrative leave. Patients in Minnesota's medical marijuana program are now allowed to smoke the medicine.
Before this, patients were able to use cannabis in the form of pills, oils, or topical products. Now they can offer cannabis in its purest form, flowers, otherwise known as buds. Supporters of the change say smoking the plant is cheaper, offers more benefit to suffering patients. Dr. Kyle Kingsley, the CEO of Vireo Health of Minnesota.
That gives patients a much more affordable access point to the medicine that cannabis provides. Many patients switching from our standard products to flower will be able to save about 50% on a monthly basis to treat their various medical conditions.
The smoking option could also cause the other cannabis products to go down in price.
That's reporter Adam Carter, Fargo-Moorhead 36. This is KFGO News. .36 degrees. This is KFGO News. Fargo firefighters responded to a blaze early this morning at the Insurance Auto Salvage auction lot that is on 37th Street North. It's located directly east of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. That business handles wrecked vehicles for auction. Battalion Chief Jason Ness says about 23 vehicles burned.
The area is very remote, and so, most likely what started with one vehicle that started on fire all of a sudden kind of just spread to all the vehicles in that area, and for a little while was quite a large fire, but crews were able to get on it quick and get it taken care of.
The salvage yard holds about 1,000 vehicles at a time. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Minnesota's budget surplus is even larger, $9.2 billion, according to the latest economic forecast, up from $7.7 billion.
But state officials note there is uncertainty due to inflation and geopolitical conflict, most notably Russia's invasion of Ukraine. As for using this even larger surplus, there are major disagreements. Senate Republicans want what they call the biggest tax cut in Minnesota history and say about Governor Tim Walz's proposed tax rebate.
It's not going to be a check that barely scratches the surface of inflation.
A key feature of Republicans' plan is no state tax on Social Security benefits regardless of income.
KFGO News Capital correspondent Bill Werner. The Red River Valley Fair has announced what it is calling the biggest show in the history of the fair in West Fargo. Country star Tim McGraw will play the fair July 9th. That is opening day. McGraw is a Grammy Award-winning entertainer, author, and actor who has sold more than 80 million records worldwide with 44 number-one singles. He's the most-played country artist since his debut in 1992. Tickets will go on sale this Friday at 9 in the morning. They'll range from $55 to $85 for reserved grandstand seating and $90 for general admission pit tickets. That does include gate admission. Upper 30s for a high this afternoon under a partly to mostly sunny sky. Tonight, cloudy, little light snow is possible overnight, and some patchy fog could develop, 16. Light north wind. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, morning fog possible, maybe some light snow tomorrow night. That may be mixed with some light rain early, 27 for tomorrow's high. 22, mostly cloudy on Wednesday. Thursday, mostly cloudy, chance of light snow, and 18. Fargo-Moorhead, again, it is 36. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, good afternoon, Rusty Halverson.
Hello there, Tyler Axness.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Good.
Pretty low key. Checked out that Home and Garden show.
Did you go walk away with anything?
Nope.
Not even ideas?
Oh, plenty of ideas.
Yeah, you get
lots
the wish
of
list
ideas.
going at some of those things.
Man, talked to some good folks out there, and when the iron's hot, we shall strike, but just not quite yet.
Did you watch the Corgi racing?
I missed the Corgi racing. I saw the track though. It was all wrapped up by the time I got there.
Why corgis? That's what I should have asked when I interviewed them last week. What's it with the corgis of all dogs?
I don't know.
Is that a regular thing? I've seen like wiener dog racing is another thing.
Okay.
I think there's times where you can bet on that. That's a whole other conversation. That's not why I called you in here. If somebody knows why we're racing corgis, 35270. I don't know how to transition into this, so I'll just inflation.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. USDA Outlook Forum last week, the Economic Research Service releasing its 2022 farm income forecast, and ERS senior economist Carrie Letowski says cash receipts for both crops and livestock are expected to go up this year, but the overall net farm income forecast is being tempered by inflation. Now, farm sector production expenses are forecast to increase by about 5% this year to by about $20 billion, according to the ERS. That would follow a 9.4% increase in expenses in 2021. Now, if the forecasts are realized, 2022 production expenses would be the highest since 2015, but still 11% below the peak that we saw in 2014 in inflation-adjusted terms.
I'm curious, when it comes to this forecast, I know the timing of things, and the world changed what felt like overnight when it comes to this invasion going on, this war. We've seen wheat prices, for example, change. This outlook, I imagine, was compiled long before any thoughts of
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. And before many of these sessions, they kind of couched the statements by saying, we will not be able to comment on the current Russia-Ukraine situation, and these forecasts and numbers were compiled before the world changed last week.
Yeah, I'd be curious, because we even talked about with your buddy up north here when it comes to investments and all that, saying, yeah, wheat might be desirable for some out there, but still, when you got all these other, so if that changes much, I'll be curious.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on her. Yep.
Here's one for you, Rusty.
Okay.
Tyler, people when we watch corgi races is to see them crash. It's a real NASCAR attitude.
Yeah, NASCAR attitude.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that text coming in. You come back next hour, all right?
I can do that.
Rusty Halverson, Sarah Heinrich, multi-award winning agriculture journalist. You can go to KFGO.com and click away, learn a little bit more. CBS National News on the way. People's thoughts about this Russian invasion, the war. Here's a question, because every time we talk about this energy independence thing, or when we talk about energy itself, Keystone Pipeline always gets sent in. It's always, why are we so narrowly focused on the Keystone Pipeline? Give me your thoughts on that at 35270. But we'll talk about energy development right around the corner here. But first, CBS National News.
Halverson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that from It Takes Two? Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So As people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
I'm going to go to the text club. That's the iConsultants of North Dakota text club, 35270. You can also call us. Laney Studio line open all day as always at 237-5948. Tyler, do you think that the Russian oligarchs were told to buy the U.S. dollar over the past months so they're sitting okay? I'm wondering if it's going to have to fall onto the poor people of Russia to overthrow or actually convince Putin. I don't know if this is going to qualify as a tinfoil hat, but this is how I've been wondering all of this. And if it is tinfoil hat material, I'll be sure to stay away from the microwave. But it seems the way of which these sanctions are put on and the way it has just decimated the Russian economy. If you've been watching since this morning of the lines for the ATMs, I saw that people were trying to use like Google Pay, some of those accounts just to get on what would be their version of the Amtrak. And you have that pinch going on. I mean, their currency has fallen to very low. I think it's worth a penny. Equivalency here in the United States. That squeeze going on those lower income, the average Russian, to have them take the brunt of this. Now, again, this is where the tinfoil hat might be coming in. Seems as though, look, you're going to inflict so much pain and punishment on them that they're going to take something into their own hands. Now, I don't know if that's possible or if that's what's going to happen at all. That's the way it feels, though. Now, as far as the question about the Russian oligarchs told about buy the U.S. dollar, that I have no idea. I can tell you from the freezing of assets across the globe from other places that aren't just within Russia or within their allies, it seems that it's really had an impact. And beyond just sinking of yachts overseas, as you're hearing some of those stories as well, I don't think that those individuals are quite frankly welcome nearly anywhere either anymore right now. I understand the question. I don't have an answer for you, but I would assume that the pinch being on the lower income and those that surround Putin is trying to bubble up enough frustration that they want a change that is being done to Vladimir Putin. 237-5948. In fact, I just got handed to me right now because this question came in. And speaking of dollars and investments, over the weekend, KX News had a great write-up, and they did a Freedom of Information request about the State Investment Board and our legacy fund, those dollars that we have accrued in the bank account, billions of dollars, and where it's gone. And it turns out that some of that has been invested in the Russian Federation, meaning the Russian government, not some private company over there, actually funding, providing dollars in North Dakota tax money to Vladimir Putin to be buying the weapons and using them right now in Ukraine against civilians, against schools. Those war crimes I talked about, just handed here, and this is fresh off the press. In fact, I can feel how hot it is still from the printer here. State Investment Board is to hold a special meeting. That's the individuals that are in charge of the Legacy Fund. And I'm reading this for the first time right on air, so bear with me. Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford, who chairs the State Investment Board, on behalf of Governor Doug Burgum, has called a special meeting of the board to discuss the Legacy Fund investments in Russia in light of the country's continuing attacks on the Ukraine. This is a good development, ladies and gentlemen. If you're as frustrated and have questions as to why our tax dollars through our legacy fund that you approved through your vote is being invested in Vladimir Putin and his Russian military, this is a step to hopefully get that corrected through this investment board. I know there was a lot of heat brought on over the weekend. I did see earlier from, I think it's the spokesperson or the comms person from the State Investment Board urging patience for everyone that's wanting answers to this because of the growth of Freedom of Information requests, but to see that they are going to have a meeting of that investment board to hopefully, and you might want to make a phone call to say, get our money back, get it out of Russia. Now is the time to be doing that, calling our governor's office. But at least the fact that they're going to have a meeting to take this serious, and there's some quotes here by Governor Burgum. North Dakota stands with freedom-loving people in Ukraine in opposition to the ongoing attacks by the Russian armed forces. We must do our part to limit the financial resources at Russia's disposal to discourage these unprovoked and heinous acts of aggression. So, meetings being held, that's a good sign, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? The local journalism and, quite frankly, you as residents had a lot to make that happen. Lots of messages in. I'll tell you what, I'll get you a weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmansky. I'll come back. I'd asked, why are we so narrowly focused on the Keystone Pipeline when we talk about, look, if you want to really hit Putin where it hurts, stop buying oil from him. I agree. Stop getting that resource, which we have some of here, but the focus that keeps coming back on the Keystone of all plays, it's baffling to me. Some of you responded to that question. I'll get to that right after this weather update. I'm Tyler Axis. Afternoons Live is rolling on this Monday afternoon. Don't go anywhere.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
It's until the top of the hour. I'll get you CBS national headlines and check back in with the KFGO news team for some of the local headlines. I was asked because every time that we're talking about, well, not every time, but it seems the frequency of Keystone getting brought into the conversation about this war in Ukraine brought on by Russia, Keystone keeps getting thrown out there. And I just simply ask, why is the focus so much on Keystone versus all the other infrastructure that could, and that would, I think, make more sense for American oil to be produced and shipped to refineries? Tyler, it's because Keystone was shut down for completely political purposes, simply to please environmentalists, making it harder to develop tar sand oil. See, the developed tar sand oil, get out the map, if you will. When we talk about what this pipeline would have, taking Canada tar sands, shipping it basically just through our country, I think down to Texas. And if I recall, I think there was another leg that went out to Illinois a little bit. But of all the other types of infrastructure, here's the question that I'm going to ask of somebody hopefully tomorrow, because, and I don't think you're wrong in throwing this out there, but you're saying, look, if you really want to have an impact on the finances of Russia, aside from getting North Dakota's legacy dollars out of there, which is step one, but it's to stop buying their energy. Okay, that sounds great. What's that going to take to offset that here? I mean, we can talk about Keystone, which I don't know is going to do as much as what some are led to believe in this whole being able to develop our own. But do we have the infrastructure? I mean, take a step back to what, 2014? 13, 12, however far back. So let's go back a decade when the Bakken was booming. Remember all the oil trains that were passing through this area, through this community, and across along Highway 2 up there as well? Remember all that? And how that impacted agriculture? We think about supply chain issues right now, the way it is for any type of good or service. I don't know that we've built out infrastructure for our own energy sakes. I know we've got the Dakota Access Pipeline. That was not something that was easily accomplished either. In fact, they're still going through some of the reviews, environmental on that. But let's say, all right, Russia, we're done. I don't have a problem with that. But the question is it even feasible? Is it doable for what we say? And it sounds great, and I don't disagree with it, saying we've got some of the natural resource right here. Let's utilize what we've got. That energy independence, right? Is it even doable? Because it's not as though you can just go and Joe Biden or whoever you're thinking is delaying this can go flip the switch and say, all right, let her loose. And all of a sudden have that flowing in. It's refined and all this. It takes time. So I don't know what the other options are. Certainly I'd be looking for them. But my question is, how much time does that take? Because you're already starting to see it at the gas pump. I mean, AAA comes out today with some recommendations to provide you tips to save on fuel expenses. And I mean, there's simple things as far as keeping tires properly inflated, slow down and drive the speed limit, avoid extended idling to warm up the engine, which this time of year, tough to do. we're in the mid-30s today, so there's some light at the end of that tunnel as far as winter goes, not having to warm the vehicle up quite as much. So with all this talk about, all right, we've got to drill our own, I don't disagree. I just don't know if we've got the capacity, meaning infrastructure and manpower, to make it work right now. I'm not saying that don't start moving that way by any means. Don't get me wrong here, but it's going to take time. So we're going to have that conversation. Like I said, hopefully tomorrow we can get one of those experts on to be discussing what can be done and what's just that pipe dream. No pun intended there. Tyler, Keystone Pipeline oil was just going to be shipped overseas anyway. That's the way I understand it. Another one, Tyler, any oil that we ship to Texas and or Illinois is less oil we have to get from Russia. It's pretty straightforward. Another one, Tyler, what makes you think that Russia would give any money back to the United States? I have a hard time to believe that our state would send money to Russia. Really don't make any sense. But when you let politicians handle money, stupid things happen with it. Sorry, I got another text. I moved that down there. The mechanics of it, I have no idea. And it's when you've got the freezing of assets here, there, how it all works to where, all right, you know what? We really goofed. We got caught with our hands in the cookie jar here with investing tax dollars in North Dakota Legacy Fund into Russian government that is now using part of that money to invade their neighbor in Ukraine. How do you physically legally go about getting it back? I have no idea. To where, all right, I'll just get on the phone with our investor and we'll just move this here. We'll do this quick transfer. I doubt it's as easy, but at least there's going to be a meeting to hopefully figure it out. 237-5948, that is the Lane East studio line. And, of course, you could also text into 35270. Mike is on the phone. Mike, I got about a minute for you. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks. I'll hurry through it here.
Yeah.
Perhaps the question to think about is we're all so intertwined economically. What are we doing fighting with anybody? Can you imagine if China takes Taiwan? Are we all going to give up our Apple phones? I mean, but what you've been saying about oil, maybe the same thing could be said about China. We're all so intertwined economically. Just me as a layperson, gosh, come on, leaders.
Yeah, Mike, you're right. I mean, we are so globally connected as far as when I talk about supply issues. Well, part of that's because of exactly what you say. We import this, we export that. We're so intertwined that if you push on one side of a bubble, it's going to pop out at another end.
And I guess we have to stand back and look at that.
Yeah.
And say maybe we should get our TVs from another country or oil from whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer.
No, Mike, up against the clock. I appreciate it. Let's find those made in American products, ladies and gentlemen. We'll continue Afternoons Live right after this CBS News.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. You know, that's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790
Couch
in
Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
meeting on Thursday to discuss legacy fund investments in Russia. Governor Doug Burgum says the state must do its part to limit the financial resources at Russia's disposal to discourage the country's heinous acts of aggression in Ukraine. State Investment Board Chair Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford says the state has received and is taking guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department related to Russian investments. The Grand Forks County Sheriff's Office has released the name of a man who is accused of breaking into a home on Highway 81 South and threatening two residents with a gun. Joseph Espinoza forced his way into the home after driving a stolen vehicle into the ditch late yesterday morning. Sheriff Andy Schneider says the homeowner grabbed a gun to defend himself and there was a struggle. Schneider says Espinoza took the gun and fired several shots inside the house. Deputies encountered Espinoza in the driveway. He was shot in the leg when he refused to put the gun down. He was hospitalized with injuries suffered during that struggle. One of the residents suffered a cut to his hand. 2 deputies have been placed on standard administrative leave. Minnesota's more than $7.5 billion projected budget surplus has grown to over $9 billion. The state says it's a result of higher corporate tax collections and increased consumer spending. Office of Budget and Management Director Jim Showalter says the numbers could change depending on what happens with Russia and Ukraine.
Of course, if we do encounter problems in the next 16 months, our budget outlook is strong, and we're in a much better place to start working.
Republicans say the large surplus shows that taxes are too high, and they'll continue to push for a series of personal, business, and corporate tax reductions. South Dakota House Republicans have dismissed a proposal to legalize recreational pot in a major blow to a bill that followed the lead of voters. The bill that was defeated narrowly passed the Republican-controlled Senate last week. Lawmakers said at that time they should try to get ahead of a campaign to get recreational marijuana back on the ballot again this November. But lawmakers on the House State Affairs Committee dismissed that proposal today on an 8-3 vote. Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny this afternoon. We did hit 36 at our KFGO studios. Cloudy, chance of light snow, maybe some mixed precipitation in the overnight hours, and perhaps patchy fog. 16 overnight, a light northerly wind. For tomorrow, KFGO meteorologist Tom Shemansky is expecting mostly cloudy conditions. Early morning patchy fog possible, maybe some light snow or mixed precipitation by tomorrow night. Tomorrow's high 27, 22 mostly cloudy Wednesday, mostly cloudy again Thursday, a chance of light snow at 18. 35, Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
A lot of great comments and questions in our iConsultants of North Dakota text club about the war in Ukraine. I will get back to those, but you know what? There's other things that need our attention as well. And one of those is that universal free school meals, and quite frankly, the need for Congress to extend the child nutrition waivers to keep that being possible. Here to tell us more about what we could ask of you is Crystal Fitzsimmons. She is with a nonprofit that has been dealing with this whole situation for quite some time and wants to tell you about it, the Food Research and Action Center. Crystal, I appreciate you taking time. How are you this Monday?
Good. Thanks so much for having me on today, Tyler.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time. Tell me about this universal free school meals and why it might be coming to an end.
Sure. So as most of you know, when the pandemic hit back in the spring of 2020, school nutrition departments, parks and rec agencies, YMCAs, and Boys and Girls Clubs all kind of pivoted and changed how they were operating the child nutrition programs to make sure that kids didn't lose access to the nutritious school breakfasts and lunches that they receive when they're in school. And so lots of school nutrition departments in North Dakota and across the country worked really hard to make sure that kids would have access to meals. And they made changes to the programs to make it easier for them to operate and to ensure that kids could easily access meals. And one of them was to allow schools and others to offer meals at no charge to all students and made it easier to administer the programs, and it eased some of the, supported social distancing and different things that they needed to do during the pandemic. And now we're recovering from the pandemic, but school nutrition departments are still kind of struggling because they've been dealing with supply chain issues and labor staffing issues. And so we're hoping that Congress will actually extend USDA's, the Department of Agriculture's waiver authority, which has allowed them to kind of respond to the ongoing crisis that we've been seeing across the country.
Well, and Crystal, I'm sitting in Fargo, North Dakota right now, and before this did come, when it comes to the universal free school meals, I know that there was nonprofits. There was a group of volunteers here that were trying to raise money, lunch aid, where they had music. They were trying to pay down student lunch debt. And I recall them coming in during this pandemic saying, look, this issue as of now has been resolved. As much as I admire the work, I don't want to see them having to do it again, because this is something to me, I've never understood why we do not provide this just on a regular basis. You know, instead of having to have parents write an additional check for those lunches, to just provide this as part of a public school system seems to make sense. I'm curious, with the potential of this not being extended, do we have momentum building when it comes to, say, U.S. Senator John Hoeven, who I think is going to be influential if he comes on board with this? Is the momentum at your back on this?
We hope so. There has been a lot of energy and focus on this, and I think most people understand that schools continue to struggle. And yeah, offering meals at no charge to all students eliminates unpaid school meal debt. And before the pandemic, about 3/4 of the schools across the country reported that they were struggling with it. So, I mean, at this point, we're just hoping that Congress extends the waivers for another year so that USDA can issue whatever they need to in order to make sure that the programs can continue to operate. And then I think we're thinking, you know, as we recover from the pandemic, we need to assess what happened with the nutrition programs and go from there. But at this point, we really just want to make sure these waivers get extended, because they do allow schools to offer meals at no charge. They've also increased the amount of funding that schools receive per meal. They've allowed summer food sites to offer meals kind of grab and go so that families can take them. And that all would end on July 1st. So we're really hoping for some congressional action to deal with it.
Yeah, and I know March 1st starts tomorrow, but July is going to be right around the corner the way things have been going here. So it's time to call, whether it's Senator Hoeven's office or the other members of the delegation, to say, look, we need to extend this. I would say in perpetuity, but, whether it's a year or just whatever we can do, because you mentioned a couple of things. Crystal Fitzsimmons, our guest, she's the director of in-school and out-of-school programs for the Food Research and Action Center. You mentioned the supply chain issues. I think everyone can relate to that, as far as not being able to get to necessarily all the food that you need. Also, the workforce, again, something everyone can relate to. These aren't going to be resolved overnight. So even that alone, aside from just the benefits for these families and kids, I think is enough for Congress to act.
I would agree with that, Tyler.
But so the Food Research and Action Center, maybe it's because it hasn't been around for a very long time, but has there been data points to show how beneficial this universal free school has been for families, for kids, especially in poverty?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Before the pandemic, we had about 1 in 3 schools across the country offering free meals to all students. And what we heard from the schools who were able to do it was that they were able to make sure that all kids were coming into class ready to learn, having the nutrition that they needed to focus and learn and concentrate, that it improved the school environment, that it reduced some of the administrative work that school districts had to do in order to operate the school nutrition program. So there was a lot of really positive things that came out, before the pandemic as people were thinking about this piece. And that option was available to kind of high poverty schools. We all know that kids who miss breakfast or who don't have a healthy lunch are going to struggle to focus and learn in school. And if kids are in school for 7 hours a day, I think it's in school's best interest to make sure that they're well nourished and fed.
As far as what people that are listening right now can do, what are you asking? I know that you signed a letter urging Senator Hoeven to extend this. Is there something that the people listening to you right now saying, I didn't know this was going to be have a deadline of July 1st. What are you asking of them, Crystal?
Sure, thanks. Well, exactly what you said earlier, Tyler. If people can go ahead and call their congressional delegation, starting with Senator Hoeven, and let him know how important it would be to extend the child nutrition waivers. Our deadline for Congress to extend it is actually March 11th. So now is the time to call his office and the rest of the delegation's office to let them know how important these waivers have been for North Dakota.
Very good. Is there anything about this program or else any of the other work that you've been undertaking that I didn't ask you? And if you get off the phone and say, why didn't he ask this? Here's the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I would just say, the pandemic has really shined a light on how important the school nutrition programs are, because once schools closed, we saw families who were struggling to put food on the table. Those numbers just increased dramatically. And so, we know how important school breakfast and school lunch is. We know that they're providing healthy meals to kids. And as we look forward, we want to make sure that they're as available and accessible as possible.
Very good. Chris, I appreciate you taking time. I know that there's a lot of people listening that are going to take your advice and make that call because to me, it's just a no-brainer for a variety of things. The benefits for the family, that child, quite frankly, for the education system as well. I'm going to let you go. You take care, and we'll chat again soon, all right?
That sounds great. You too.
All right. Thank you. Crystal Fitzsimmons, again, she's just asking you to make a phone call, trying to extend this universal free school lunch program. And again, that's with the Food Research and Action Center. She's one of the directors there. Messages in, your thoughts at 35270. You can also call me at 237-5948. I'm Tyler Axonis. This is Afternoons Live on KFGO.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. Right. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11.
We'll dive into the conversation, in about 40 minutes' time. Major League Baseball, not looking good. Not looking good at all as far as getting things settled between the league and the players, of which today is the deadline if you want to start the season on time. And the league's already said, yeah, we're good with just canceling games. Are you? Are you really? We'll talk about that with Derek Hansen. He's hosted Couch Potato Radio, and, of course, a little bit later on, Drive Time News, a shortened version because the Timberwolves are at Cleveland, and that's going to be taking place 5:30 right here on KFGO. Somebody wants to remind me that Paul Harvey died on this day of 2009. Paul Harvey, universally known with the rest of the stories. Thanks for sending that in. I'm going to throw this out there because it just happened over the weekend. With everything going on with Russia, Ukraine, or their invasion of Ukraine, and, who's allowing what when it comes to just Russia over the last decade, who's been involved in A, B, or C. I mean, we've talked a little bit about the fact that the Legacy Fund here in North Dakota invested in Putin's regime, and now they're second-guessing that. They're going to have a meeting, as I think I heard from Paul Jurgens this Thursday. So hopefully do something about that. The board will meet Thursday to discuss the evolving situation. Hopefully they get the dollars back that are yours and mine if you're a North Dakota resident. But one thing that happened over the weekend, that I created a website that I write on from time to time, less now than what I had, spend more time with you over these airwaves at KFGO, which I appreciate. But in 2018, in fact, it was July 6th that I wrote this because 2 days prior was our celebration of independence, July 4th, 2018. And there was a delegation of Republican senators, 8 of them, that spent the 4th of July celebrating. I don't know if they're celebrating. We don't know. We don't know what they were doing there. And there's a reason why this has been circulated again, because people went and found and they started sharing over the weekend. An article I wrote back on July 6th, just wondering, what did they gain? What did these 8 Republican senators gain from their trip to Russia? One of those senators was John Hoeven, right here from North Dakota. We don't know enough from our side because we didn't have U.S. reporters there. So all the information we were getting at that time was from the Russian side of this. It was them saying, we've met with these individuals, or there's photos out there that was released from Russia. There was nobody on the United States side. So we got it after the fact, after it was exposed that these 8 Republican senators were in Russia and Moscow during the 4th of July in 2018. I think people are starting to ask again, what did John Hoeven gain from that trip? What did other Republican senators gain? Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. Now, I was reminded because people were sharing this. I went back and actually reread. It was on that same day that they were meeting with the Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, who's one of the first individuals that was sanctioned by our allies over this invasion of Ukraine. So they were meeting with him while the Senate back here in America put out an intelligence committee that issued a bipartisan report that was saying, look, Russia did interfere in 2016's election, and yes, they did a variety of things that was set to meet with Vladimir Putin. So the question's being raised again. I just throw it back out there for you to chew on, the fact that there was 8 of these Republicans that went to Moscow, and we still don't really know exactly what they accomplished, if anything. 237-5948. I'm going to get back to the text club at 35270. A lot of talk about energy in our text club, and I get it, and I assure you we've put some feelers out because the baseline question is, yep, it sounds good. Let's start ramping up things here. We've got some capability of doing that. Can we still meet the needs to completely cut off the import from Russian oil? I think that's a fair question. But I want to get it from somebody if it's even possible to do this. Tyler, why do we have an administration that hampered domestic oil production and allow foreign imports from the same autocrat who has fast-tracked cutting off bipartisan sanctions on the Nord Stream 2. They have Biden in parentheses there. I want it be much better for the Canadians to supply 40% of Germany's oil supplies via the Keystone versus Putin. Sounds like a slightly more palatable proposition. Yeah, well, and I, given the choice between, yeah, give me that alternative. Now I know that Germany's now looking at extending some of their nuclear power plants, the life of those, to offset because they're done. Nord Stream 2 is not happening. It's over. But when it comes to here, and Tyler, Keystone has no impact on gas prices. It's all the Biden haters to hang their hats on. That's why I just asked, why is it about Keystone in of itself? Yes, we can ramp up right here in North Dakota. Yeah, that's what I want to. Is it financially doable? Sure. We had more production here in North Dakota not long ago. Do we ramp back up? Is it economical for these companies to do so, or is it some regulation that's preventing that development from happening right now? Bottom line is that there's going to be that price shock when you go fill up. The fact that you've got organizations that are trying to help you out, like AAA, give you some tips to cut back, that tells you that they see the writing on the walls as well. We'll have that conversation hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday. In the meantime, I'm going to get you caught up with KFGO News. More of your thoughts right after that here on Afternoons Live.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Air
Mighty
Kansas
790
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that? It Takes Two. Doug here with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
News Weather this hour brought to you by Brad Field and Equitable Agri-Finance, providing long-term fixed-rate financing to America's farmers and ranchers.
Now mostly cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead, 32 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. We did hit 36 at our KFGO studios earlier this afternoon. North Dakota State Investment Board will hold a special meeting on Thursday to discuss legacy fund investments in Russia. Governor Burgum says the state must do its part to limit the financial resources at Russia's disposal to discourage the country's heinous acts of aggression on Ukraine. House Minority Leader Josh Boucher of Fargo says the Innovation Infrastructure Fund, passed by the legislature last session, might be a way to reinvest those dollars in North Dakota.
It's time for us to pull it out, bring that money back in. There's plenty of great projects going in North Dakota, whether it's township roads or startup companies. Long-term companies are looking to grow. We have that opportunity.
State Investment Board Chair Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford says the state has received guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department related to Russian investments. 32, this is KFGO News. 32, this is KFGO News. The Grand Forks County Sheriff's Office has released the name of a man who is accused of breaking into a home on Highway 81 south of Grand Forks and threatening 2 residents with a gun. Joseph Espinoza forced his way into the home after driving a stolen car into the ditch. Sheriff Andy Schneider says the homeowner grabbed a gun to defend himself and there was a struggle. Schneider says Espinoza took the gun and fired several shots inside the house. Deputies encountered Espinoza in the driveway. He was shot in the leg when he refused to put the gun down. He was hospitalized. One of the residents suffered a cut to his hand. 2 deputies have been placed on standard administrative leave. West Fargo Mayor Bernie Dardis is running for a second term. The retired CEO of Indigo Signworks was elected to his first term in 2018. He defeated longtime Mayor Rich Mattern by about 200 votes. Dardis is the only announced candidate for mayor. Fargo firefighters responded to a blaze early this morning at the Insurance Auto Salvage Auction Lot that is on 37th Street North. It's located directly east of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. That business handles wrecked vehicles for auction. Battalion Chief Jason Ness says about 32 vehicles burned.
The area is very remote, and so, most likely what started with one vehicle that started on fire all of a sudden kind of just spread to all the vehicles in that area, and for a little while was quite a large fire, but crews were able to get on it quick and get it taken care of.
That salvage yard can hold up to 1,000 vehicles at a time. The cause of the fire is under investigation. A Rochester, Minnesota man who fled to Mexico with his wife after he was charged with setting fire to a St. Paul school and 2 stores during the rioting that followed the death of George Floyd has pleaded guilty to arson. Jose Phelan, Jr. entered the plea in federal court in connection with a fire set 3 days after Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis. Sentencing for Phelan has not been set. Phelan and his girlfriend were detained in Mexico after the U.S. Marshal Service located them in February of last year. She was with Phelan when he set the fires and helped him escape. The North Dakota Supreme Court says a former Bismarck police sergeant did not make a valid claim for defamation by Burleigh County's top prosecutor. The High Court, which upheld the lower court's dismissal of the claim, said Robin Cryle failed to show that State's Attorney Julie Lawyer acted with malice when she submitted certain documents related to Cryle's professional conduct to law enforcement agencies and Cryle's prospective employers. Lawyer said she believed Cryle had made false statements as an officer and that the state's attorney's office would no longer use Cryle as a witness. Cryle was later fired. She's now the police chief in Lincoln, near Bismarck. The Red River Valley Fair has announced that country singer Tim McGraw will play the fair July 9th, opening day. McGraw is a Grammy Award-winning entertainer, author, and actor who has sold more than 80 million records with 44 #1 singles. The show is described as the biggest in the history of the fair. Tickets will go on sale this Friday at 9. They'll range in price from $55 to $85 for reserved grandstand seating and $90 for general admission pit tickets. That does include gate admission. Fargo-Moorhead, cloudy tonight. We're seeing those clouds move in. And again, we did hit 36 at our KFGO studios. We dropped to 31 now. 16 overnight, maybe some light snow, mixed precipitation, and patchy fog overnight. That fog may linger into the early morning hours. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a chance of light snow, mixed precipitation tomorrow night. Tomorrow's high near 27. Mostly cloudy Wednesday, 22. 18, mostly cloudy Thursday, a chance of light snow. Again, Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, and 31. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Tim McGraw going to be at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. That's kind of exciting. I'll be there. That sounds like something you'd go to, Rusty.
Yeah, I'd sit in the back row somewhere.
You're a back row kind of guy?
Well, I'm not getting up front, I'll tell you that.
I tell you one thing. When Styx was performing out at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds, there was a lot of us that probably would have been in that mid-range.
Yeah.
Like you're not front row.
Yep.
Maybe in the middle of the pack. We were pretty dang close. You wait till you get there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's where the green grass grows is going to play to the front.
I see what you did there.
But and now help me out here. I'll throw Eric Johnson this one. He probably already knows the answer. Because I am singing the song in my head, but I know I'm mixing up. It's kind of a combination of a Kenny Chesney song and Tim McGraw.
Okay.
It's about the whole state fair thing. What's the name of that song?
I do know the answer to that.
Play it for me. You got it pulled up?
I will in a second. Here.
All right, you pull it up. Do you remember the name of it?
No, I just remember County Fair by Chris Ledoux.
Okay, well, that's a good addition to the conversation.
Yeah.
This is absolutely not the song I was talking about. No, I mean, I do like it, and I don't know that I love it, but this is a good Tim
This has
McGraw
got
song.
the spent all my money last night at the county fair.
Okay, no. See,
Throw it out my shoulder, but I won her that teddy bear.
Yeah, okay, yep, I can see where my direction was confusing.
Okay.
It's a barbecue stain on my white t-shirt.
I think that might be a Chesney song.
No, that is a Tim McGraw song, but I can't think of the name of that dang song.
Because I had a barbecue
Yes,
stain
see,
on my white T-shirt.
She was killing me in that miniskirt. I can tell you the lyrics. I can't think of the name of that song. Now that's the song that gets you to the front row.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. Because that was a little bit more upbeat. So you feel the energy from the song, Rusty.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. Somebody out there, 35270. What's the name of that Tim McGraw song about the barbecue stand on my white T-shirt? As you're sending that in, I want to learn more about what's going on in the world of agriculture.
Yeah, well, Cargill recently announced it's going to exercise its option to buy American Crystal's 50% interest in ProGold LLC, or ProGold in Wahpeton. The net result is that Cargill and Golden Growers will each own 50% interest in ProGold. And we talked with Scott Stoffren, Executive Vice President of Golden Growers Co-op, about the new arrangement. He says area growers won't notice much of a change. Now, ProGold was formed back in 1994, Tyler, as a joint venture between Golden Growers Co-op, American Crystal, and Mindak Farmers Co-op for that corn wet milling facility in Wahpeton. Golden Growers Co-op, that was formed back in 1994 with growers from the Dakotas and Minnesota, currently has about 1,500 members in the co-op. Cargill has about 155,000 employees in 70 countries.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Scott in a long time. I'm glad to hear him. Yeah, somebody called in off air, didn't they?
Yes, indeed.
Well, it's something like that. That's what I'm getting in the text club. That's
something like that.
I know it was something like that along those lines.
Oh, yeah. My wife texted it in too, but I didn't know what she was talking about. She said...
That could be a blanket statement for a lot of things, yeah. Rusty. Be careful how you say that and phrase that.
She said you'd sit in the back and leave after 3 songs or something like that. And I thought, well, that's kind of me. Yeah.
That's... I wouldn't
That's
do
how
something
I roll.
like that.
Yeah.
There it is. Now, this was an early 2000s song, I want to say. We have to go over the duration of the catalog of Tim McGraw, because, I mean,
the discography. No,
because it spans
three
3 decades now.
Is it?
I mean, you've got 90s. Aughts
90s
and teens.
What I mean, was Greengrass their first big hit, or was it I Like It, I Love It?
Boy, I don't know that.
What
Trivia
about,
question. Don't Take the Girl was an early one.
Don't Take the Girl. Yeah. Indian Outlaw.
Indian Outlaw is the other one I was thinking. He's got some bangers.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm going to that.
Live Like You Were Dying.
Yeah. The gamut of make you want to cry versus make you want to sing a barbecue stand on my white T-shirt.
Yeah.
All right, good get, Red River Valley Fairgrounds. That's all I'm saying. Good get.
Going to be a great concert.
I'll tell you. I'll read this to you off air. How does that sound? I'm going to let you go. CBS National News headlines. If you want to check out more of Rusty Halverson's work and Sarah Heinrich, you go to KFGO.com. You just click on that agriculture tab. It's that simple. Again, National News headlines, your commentary in the text club the whole rest of the way, plus Derek Hansen. We'll talk about sports in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out, as people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah
7.
Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of independence.
We continued our conversation off air about concerts. I'll take that on air because you want to go to a concert where they're playing nothing but the hits, right? I mean, one after another, but that does pose an important question for you as a concert goer, because typically you'll have one of those moments where they might play a bit of a deep cut, and I think that's the band acknowledging, look, everyone's got to use a bathroom break at some point. You might need to get another one of those tall, cold bush lights.
Yeah, it's one of two scenarios. It's either the deep cut or the new song. Right, yeah, the one that they haven't released yet, the one that they're working on.
Yeah, here's one from our new album. You haven't heard it yet. It's like, oh well, I'm not going to hear it right now for the first time.
I'll hear it in the background.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be on in the rumbling as I'm in line probably. But okay, yeah, you're right. The new song or the deep cut. And if you're not a super fan, now if you are a super fan of a band in which you are going to see, and they play deep cut, you're loving it. But every other average Joe or Jane, they're like, all right, well. You're eyeing to see where that nearest restroom is. Either way, Tim McGrath, I think that's going to be a fun time at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. I've got that marked down on the calendar. I'll probably be going to that one. I mean, I do say I'll take any and all. You know, this is a platform for you to get your thoughts out, or random facts like this. As I gaze into the Eye Consultants of North Dakota text club, that's 35270. Tom Brady's yacht is bigger than the Titanic. Okay. That's very random. I appreciate it. Ms. Lippy's car is green. And Billy likes to drink soda. I did not know, and now I do, and now the rest of the KFGO audience knows as well. I appreciate you sending that in. Tom Brady, he's going to be able to go do whatever he wants with the remainder of his days. Very wealthy guy. People always want to force these either retired players or coaches into that next tier. I mean, they're already well, maybe Tom Brady could be, in the booth. Maybe he's not everybody's cut out to be a broadcaster either. So you'll have plenty of time to spend on that yacht that is bigger than the Titanic. Thank you for that. 237-5948. You can also text in at that 35270. Tyler, I hope that greedy investors don't get into the Russian market for financial gains. There will be some. Probably Trump comes in at a text. That's one thing. I'm not a market analyst. I'm not an investor. I can't tell you what stock to put into, what Bitcoin or cryptocurrency that's hot. NFT. I don't know. But you've heard the rumblings from some with that in mind. Right now's the time to start buying. Not with my dollars, not especially when it comes to the legacy fund. Not after watching the devastation. As you just heard from Dr. Thomas Ambrosio from NDC saying it's probably just getting started because the full capacity of what Russia can do has yet to be unleashed. And you think about what they've already done. They've already struck civilian infrastructure. I'm talking schools. We're talking about apartment complexes. There was a story about an individual that had been injured because of a strike, a civilian, that was being transported in an ambulance that was then blown up while that ambulance was en route to a hospital. Those are horrific things that Russia is doing unprovoked to Ukraine. And to hear that it could get worse is pretty jarring. And the fact that our dollars through the North Dakota Legacy Fund that you created by voting it in on a ballot measure is being used to fund some of that should make your stomach churn as well. So this Thursday, they've got a chance to get it right. I don't know how they can pull the levers or how whatever wire transfer it's got to be or what phone call to whatever other investment firm needs to be made. You've got to correct this. And then going forward, be more wise and have that conscious because it's public dollars going in to this fund. It's your dollars, it's my dollars, it's those that have called North Dakota home. Do you want your money going to the pocket of Vladimir Putin so he can build more rockets to blow up these schools? I sure as hell don't. I don't think there's a person listening to me right now that does. So Thursday's a chance for them to get it right. They have this meeting coming up. It was brought forward because of local journalism and probably your phone call to the governor's office saying, what are you doing here? So keep a watch on this area. We'll be covering that as it does unfold in the days ahead. I'll get you that weather update from Too Tall Tom. He'll tell you about how the weather's going to unfold for the rest of the week. Then we'll wrap up the second hour of Afternoons Live right after this.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. is people are coming in. If they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio.
Did you see that? It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force. Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Minutes until 4 o'clock, so we're about an hour away till that 5 o'clock punch out. We'll get you there together right here on Afternoons Live. We still have another hour of the show left. We're going to be talking about sports with Derek Hansen. But tomorrow there's going to be I'm looking forward to this conversation. There's a Golden Drive Homeless Kids. It's a food drive, and we're going to have Sue Barron on to talk about what you can do if you want to donate some items here. And there's a variety of places that you can do this at. There's a lot of places that are participating as drop-off places, Starbucks being one of them. And you know what? If you donate 5 or more items, they're going to give you a free tall coffee. Or is that a venti? I don't know what Starbucks goes. I don't remember if it's a tall, because other places, I think it's Starbucks. If you say, hey, can I get a tall coffee? They'll say, you mean a venti? I'm not trying to. I'm just saying. Be prepared if that happens.
And there's grande mixed in there too, right?
That's grande.
Yeah,
it's got to be the bigger one, right?
Yeah, well, venti is
20.
20. It's a 20 ouncer. I don't know the sizing though. Is it 16? Would that be a grande? A pint?
Yeah. So you go 12, 16, 20. Okay. So yeah, venti's got to be the large, I'd assume. So be prepared. You'll get a free large venti coffee from Starbucks. But there's going to be other places. She'll tell you about that in particular in West Fargo. A lot of places. Also, Moorhead, Menards. So that's going to be one of the items tomorrow, and it will continue on the whole oil development here, because that has been the drumbeat. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, is it doable? That's the question I have. The drumbeat that I have gotten since this invasion started, say, Tyler, you can go ahead and slap on all the sanctions you want, but it's not going to do as much as just cutting off the reliance of their oil that we're importing. Okay, well, let's see if you want to dive into that, what's it going to take? So we're going to have that conversation as well. In the meantime, here's what's going on. And Derek has to be joining us in 5 minutes here. You've got the Major League Baseball deadline to have the season start on time today is when this negotiation has to be done. The league itself, the owners are basically saying, well, we're cool with just not starting on time. That just sits so wrong with me. I mean, I get it. This is a fight between billionaires and millionaires. I think it's easy for me to side with one of the two, and it's the product on the field. It's those players, right? You're not watching these games because of the owners, right? I mean, you don't. It's time to put pen to paper, boys, and get something figured out. Because if you start punting down the road, you start these late games, the late season, you're already having people looking at drafts. You have people thinking about so many other things besides baseball. You're going to lose a whole chunk of your audience. We'll get Derek Hans's take on that in just a few moments here. I'm Tyler Axis. You are listening to Afternoons Live right here on 790 AM and 104.7 FM KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
4:05, time for a fact checker at 4, and I'm telling you, I got to fact check myself here when it comes to Starbucks and their sizes. I've got it from a well-placed source of Starbucks. I had it wrong this entire time. Their smalls are called talls. That's 12 ounce. The grande is medium. And then the venti is the large. So there you have it. You have tall, which is their small. It's marketing 101. Brilliant. Genius. The grande, then the venti. But here's what you need to know. And we'll give you more detail tomorrow. Is if you bring some food items to a Starbucks of 5 items, they're going to give you a free venti. That's the biggest one. And we'll tell you all about that tomorrow. Here's what's coming up for the rest of today. Sports. Derek Hansen will be in studio. I've already got messages in about baseball, in particular the players, overpaid. All of that's on the table next, right after this KFGO News.
KFGO News, mostly cloudy, 28 degrees. I'm Paul Jurgens. North Dakota State Investment Board will hold a special meeting on Thursday to discuss legacy fund investments in Russia. Governor Burgum says the state must do its part to limit the financial resources at Russia's disposal to discourage the country's heinous acts of aggression on Ukraine. State Investment Board Chairman Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford says the state has received and is taking guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department related to Russian investments. Bernie Dardis will run for a second 4-year term as West Fargo mayor. Dardis announced his run for re-election, citing his business and civic experience as well as his leadership during a time of rapid growth for the city. Dardis, the former CEO of Indigo Signworks, defeated longtime West Fargo Mayor Rich Mattern in 2018 by 200 votes. The man who forced his way into a home south of Grand Forks struggled with the homeowner and took the resident's gun. Grand Forks County Sheriff Andy Schneider says Joseph Espinoza drove a stolen car into the ditch and then forced his way into the home on Highway 81. One of the homeowners fired rounds from a gun in an attempt to push Espinoza out. Espinoza then got a hold of the gun and more shots were fired. Schneider says deputies shot Espinoza outside the home after repeated commands for him to drop the gun.
He was struck in the left leg, the upper left leg, femur area, so that's requiring some attention, obviously. He did suffer some other injuries from actions prior to encountering law enforcement that he obtained by breaking into the residence.
Both deputies are on standard administrative leave pending the outcome of an internal investigation. One resident of the home suffered a cut to his hand during the struggle. Minnesota's already huge budget surplus has grown to a projected $9.25 billion. The updated forecast was $1.5 billion more than the $7.7 billion surplus that management and budget projected in December for the current 2-year budget period. The state cites higher incomes, consumer spending, and corporate profit forecasts as reasons for the increased and improved forecast, but officials are cautioning that there's uncertainty ahead due to inflation and geopolitical conflict. An intense debate is already underway at the legislature on how to use the surplus. Cloudy tonight. We will have a chance of light snow overnight, maybe some areas of patchy fog. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting a low of about 16 degrees. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, early morning patchy fog possible, and we might see a little light snow, at least overnight and during the day tomorrow. 27 for the afternoon high. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, 22. Mostly cloudy for Thursday, another chance of light snow, and 18. 28, Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Here's some advice for you. You probably have already known this. If you've ever made a campaign contribution, you end up on all sorts of lists. All lists of people that also want to ask you for their campaign contributions. And if you've done it, say, for a federal candidate, you end up on even bigger lists. And none of them are actually who they say. Here's one that I got as we were listening to Jergy. Hi, Tyler. It's Mark Kelly here. That's the U.S. Senator from Arizona. Astronaut guy.
Yep.
Here's one thing that I've never seen before, and of course they're asking, hey, if you please make a donation. But they're starting to have photos accompany with these, and it's Mark Kelly wearing a Navy shirt standing in a gym. Now, why in the world did that make me want to donate any more than just the text?
It's true.
It's unusual. It's very unusual, especially...
Is that Gabby Gifford's husband?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
But why in a gym?
I don't know. I barely could get money to raise to someone in state, let alone out of state.
Yeah, I mean, notice the strategic placement of the U.S. flag behind the bench.
It's a good backdrop. That is all perfectly done for good reason.
It's an unusual attempt to ask me for money.
Yeah,
it's not going to work. Hi, Derek Hansen.
Hello. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you. Last day of February. Good riddance to this month.
See ya.
Yeah.
And no one's going to miss this month. It is pleasant outside though.
For now, yeah.
For now.
So I saw that we could have some snow this weekend. I know Too Tall talked a little bit about that. And just kind of looking at extended forecast, hovering around that upper teens and 20s. It's just a tease, you know. And today is just like, okay, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I heard Amy mention this earlier, though. She's 100% correct. Having the daylight go a little bit later is a big factor. When I walk out and the drive time news hour is open and the sun is still out, that's a nice feeling.
It's all about psyche at times. Yeah. Okay, so it's the end of the month. Do you ever meet anybody that's got a leap year birthday?
Yes.
Do they celebrate today or tomorrow on the years of which there's
usually
not a leap
today?
Year? Is it today? I suppose.
Or the first. Yeah, I mean, what does it matter at that point?
It doesn't. It was a random question that came to my mind, and I wanted to ask that of you.
Yeah.
That happens from time to time.
A kid who is a year older than me in high school, or school, I guess.
Yeah.
He had one. We didn't really talk about it much, but it was just one of those things. Once every 4 years it gets brought up. So.
Yeah. It's just, I've always...
It's a weird thing to have, that's for sure.
Want to talk sports?
Well, there's not a lot to talk about. UND swept, which is a big thing for them. They can get the Penrose Cup this weekend if they win or Denver loses. So it's like the magic number is 1. But the Wild are struggling on the other side of things on the spectrum for hockey. But yeah, so outside of that, things are it's kind of the calm before the storm. Wouldn't you say? We got all this regular season wrapping up and all the postseason will begin, whether it be hockey or basketball and so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you think we're in the calm before the storm. The storm usually hits those tournament time, and then you just ease into baseball.
Usually.
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be the case.
Oh, well, it's interesting. By the end of the day today, I think we're going to find out where we stand because the ultimatum that the owner said by getting something done, otherwise you're going to start canceling games, and that's going to really spin into a whole bunch of different things. So, if they decide to lift the lockout, then it comes down to the players, then we'll look bad on them because they'll say, okay, we'll lift the lockout, get to work under these conditions. And then if the players strike, then everyone's going to focus on the players for stopping things. So it's kind of an ugly thing there, and it's all going to be about perception. I think what both sides realize is that we really don't. I mean, I kind of blame the owners more a little bit how they've handled things over the past 2 years, to be quite frank. But I don't think the players are without blame here. So I think most of the public is just going, shame on both of you right now. And that's what they don't understand.
Well, that's what you're walking into in the Eye Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. Tyler, most baseball players are overpaid for what little they do. It's about time the fans get a break with the lower ticket prices and concessions. Comes in.
Well, I think it's easy to say that because we know what they make, but I mean, the owners are making billions of dollars, and not just on ticket sales, on TV rights, on what they're getting from their app, what they're doing. They're opening up gambling now. They're going to have a casino attached to Wrigley Field. I mean, and so if you are the product, which the baseball players are, they deserve to get the right. I mean, we don't, we always complain about corporations not paying their people enough, right? I mean, that type of thing. Well, that's what for me, yes, they are very paid, but a lot of people pay money and supply and demand. I mean, if the ticket prices are going for what they're going for and sell out stadiums or whatever, that's just how it goes. And so you can get it for free here on the radio. And that's about as much as we can do for you. I understand your concerns, but much like the NFL, I mean, the NFL is going to Thursday night Prime only, where you have to have a subscription to Prime to actually get it. That's the closest thing that we're going to have to pay-per-view for football because, and granted, you're kind of doing pay-per-view anyway. A lot of the football that you watch is on cable TV. So it's, the football stadiums are still full. I mean, think about it, what the ratings were for the NFL. Yeah, we're outpriced as the person who works paycheck to paycheck, but the demand is still there, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, and they'll continue pushing limits until you start seeing the inverse effect. Now, that this okay, I'm going to walk right into it. Be mad if you want out there, Bison fans, or if you're the Fargo Dome or the athletics department. When we talk about the stadium not being sold out at the Fargo Dome, the way it is, people bring up that they're starting to get priced out for what's going on here. If that starts happening for baseball or the NFL, then maybe they come back to the
Then they have to
table.
come back down. Another example of that, speaking of college sports, is college hockey. And Eric, who follows it closely too, the Gophers, since they went to the Big Ten, they thought they're going to jack the prices up. They outpriced their fan base, and they don't get as
empty there.
Yeah. You see Mariucci half full unless it's a rivalry game.
And even if so, I mean, when I went to a couple of years ago on Thanksgiving weekend, it was 2/3 green and black in there. So they've really done that, and they proved it, and they should have brought the price down again, because that's what you do. To the texture's point, supply and demand. Once the demand goes down, you got to get the prices back on track to get to sell it out. I'd much rather have a full stadium with half the ticket cost.
See, now with me, I'm not bringing a family of 4, to these events, so I have no idea what a family's budget would be to go to.
They'll run you about $300.
Yeah, I was saying, and then from my understanding, and I'm not one that's been to all these stadiums. I haven't been to Wrigley. I haven't been to pick any one. That Target at least seems as though it's kind of found that sweet spot as affordability goes.
And I say $300, depending upon what you do. If you buy souvenirs, if you buy all the food, if you didn't go out and eat before you got in, I mean, you could probably do it. You actually can get pretty affordable things if you want to do it under $100, but you're not buying every time that your child wants to go to the concession stand. You sometimes might have to say no, but. Yeah, so it can be affordable. It's just a trip down there. Gas prices are going to be higher for that, to think about that if they ever do get it started. So, yeah, it's a tough thing. I understand where we say, the players are overpriced, but then the billionaires would be way overpriced if we went back to the days where they're taking – it should be half and half just because it's the product. They're the widget that we're going to see.
That's exactly what I say. They are what brings you to the stadium. It's not the owner. It's – it might be cool to stop at that concession stand and get the nachos that it's in a baseball helmet. It's the players on the field that you're going for. Tyler, the way the general public can stop the owners and players is to stop building them multi-billion-dollar stadiums. That's 90% of us can't afford to go to anyway. Basically, you're saying tax dollars going in to subsidize some of these construction costs.
Well, again, that goes down to supply and demand. Because if you're out of your lease or whatever, and another city wants to build you a stadium, guess what? They're going to, ask St. Louis. Mm-hmm. They slept on it, and now the Rams are Super Bowl champions back in L.A. Mm-hmm. That's just how it goes. And the owner of the Rams built the stadium, don't get me wrong. But as far as Minneapolis, half of Cowboy Stadium was at first we thought Jerry was building himself, then we found out there was a few other local things that he got little benefits on, and it's just that's the way it goes. If you don't build it, someone else is gonna. There's a lot of cities that would like to get an NFL franchise to legitimize themselves, and Vegas, obviously, they're an NFL city now, and they're very happy about it. So it's easy to say, but competition drives us too.
And that's the thing. The only way you change it is to have it blanket across. It's prohibited all over. I understand the frustration knowing that these are billionaires that are now getting tax dollars to go build something that they could probably afford on their own.
It's a different type of thing, though, too, other than just your own, your type of, tax increment financing or anything like that, because the whole city feels like they're a part of it, right? Mm-hmm. And think about, when the Colts left for Indianapolis, that was like the first big one, because you're talking about a historic franchise there. It did put Indianapolis on the map. They had the Pacers, but for them to be an NFL season, to have an NFL team in that area really changed kind of how we thought of the city.
Yeah, it really did. I got more messages coming in. I got to take a quick pause here, a little bit behind my time. Some Twin season ticket holders texting in their prices. We'll get back to that and whatever else sports related or not you want to talk about. You can join us the whole rest of the way here. I'm Tyler Axis. He's Derek Hansen. This is Afternoons Live on KFGO.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News
Radio.
Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Throw this message out there. Tyler, I've been a Twins season ticket holder since 2002, and I've had the same Delta seats since Target Field is open in 2010. Our tickets have averaged the same. I think this is supposed to be $50 a game per seat, which amazes me, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, see, and I think that's to me, that's very affordable.
Yeah, I think if you've been a season ticket holder that time and you're buying that many tickets, you're going to get a pretty good deal. So
get a good price.
Right. I mean, and I think you probably can go and get quite a bit. I'm sure, I don't know if you go to all the games or if you're probably using the ballpark app to do that. I've done that quite a bit. Done those transfers many times, so that does work out pretty well too. So it depends upon how many. Like I was saying before, if you have a family of 4 and you're going to go all out, well, it could get up to about $300, for all the food and everything, right? And so, I mean, it's still probably the most affordable sporting event in. I mean, the Wild tickets are pretty good priced, and Timberwolves, it kind of varies, I guess, depending on how well they're doing. It's a little bit, and again, that goes down to supply and demand, where you're going to get your tickets. If you're going to go through a third party, you can get a pretty good deal. If not, if they're doing well, it's going to be a little tougher. So.
Yeah, if you're able to get a seat the day of the game because maybe they're not playing as good, you can understand, well, they just would rather have a little bit of money from that but being in a seat than none. One thing that I've been hearing more of, though, when it comes just to baseball, and we'll get to hockey here in the final half hour, is, what? For us, we might be in one of those unique spots. Not everybody in this region now can say this, but hell with it. I'm just going to Newman. I'm just going to watch the Red Hawks. Right. It's just as fun there. It's affordable. You're right there. I mean, we've got that option. Others listen to me in this KFGO signal don't, but I've been hearing more like, I don't even care if Major League plays. I'll go up to Newman.
I know people who kind of enjoy the Forester the same way, right? Do they go to the Forest game? They just kind of enjoy it, and they get their fix. They don't have to drive anywhere for it. They don't have to go all the way to St. Paul. They still are big fans of going up north or whatever. I mean, that's, if they can get a ticket into Ralph Engelstad Arena. But yeah, there certainly is some good product, and really the college scenes too. I mean, I think more and more people are figuring out that this Bison basketball thing is something to watch here, right? I mean, I think you look at the UND women; they've certainly had a good season. They're going to play on Sunday in the Summit League. The Dragons men and women have been very good. I mean, the Dragon men upset Augustana in the NSIC tournament in the semifinals. So there's a lot of good stuff. And boy, if you're in a high school scene, you can't. How do you not love what we saw this past weekend with the hockey tournament? Was a lot of fun. And Moorhead, speaking of hockey, is going to play to try to get in the state this weekend. Warroad wins the girls Class A championship, and so if you are a high school sports fan right now, it's a lot of fun. The state tournament for wrestling is coming up this weekend for me in Minnesota. And so there's plenty of things to do as far as that's concerned. And March Madness high school style will be coming up on both sides of the river, too.
Yeah. And a lot of people itching for that to be. There's people that take, at least on the North Dakota side, the Class B, that's their vacation. They're going, whether it's Minot or Bismarck, that's their getaway from home, from the farm. So,
sure.
They put that every year. They're going out just to watch that. So this is an exciting time for a lot of people in the area.
Yeah, you bet. I might head out on Thursday, actually, so I might be audible. Just a friend of mine, his two sons wrestle for the Kimball team, so I just might go down for the day to watch the Kimball team. And we had a couple qualifiers for my hometown. It's a fun time for that. That's for sure. It's always... The wrestling thing is something I get to more because it made the winter go by a lot faster for me.
Yeah, it did. Here's a question when it comes to high school hockey, and it's not just maybe isolated. I don't know of any other sport, whether it's basketball, football, volleyball, you just name it, of teams deciding, we're all dyeing the hair the same. We're going to bleach it.
It's true. Yeah, they do it a lot. You see it in other places. Like Caledonia, they would always bleach their hair blonde all the time. But that would... few and far between. You don't see it very often.
It's just there's
maybe a few wrestling
players,
teams. Yeah, they do it quite a bit. So.
I mean, to each their own. That unity, but it's just very noticeable from time.
I just bleached mine clear.
Yeah, just take care of it.
Didn't work.
Clean off.
Yeah.
Derek Hansen's my guest. I'm Tyler Axis. Eric Johnson's our producer. Let's talk about UND. You guys were talking a little bit about how the second half of this season, and you can go back to seasons prior to where they figure something out. I mean, they're playing great. They swept again. What are they, 6 in a row, as you guys said? So let's talk about that. And, yes, we'll talk about whatever else the final half hour of Afternoons Live on a Monday afternoon. Keep it locked into 790 AM or 104.7 FM, KFGO.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of independence.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. we don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Ottertail Power Company, positively impacting communities they serve for more than a century.
Mostly cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead 27 degrees. Overnight, we expect a low of about 16. A man who was shot in the leg by a Grand Forks County deputy after pointing a gun at officers had broken into a house and scuffled with the residents. The Grand Forks County Sheriff's Office says the deputies responded to a report of a home invasion and found Joseph Espinoza trying to steal a pickup. He ignored repeated commands to drop the gun and then pointed in the direction of officers. The deputies fired at Espinoza, who was struck in the upper left leg. One of the homeowners fired several shots in an attempt to force Espinoza out of the home. Espinoza eventually took the gun during a struggle, and more shots were fired inside the home. One of the residents suffered a cut to his hand. North Dakota State Investment Board will hold a special meeting on Thursday to discuss legacy fund investments in Russia. Governor Burgum says the state must do its part to limit the financial resources at Russia's disposal to discourage the country's heinous acts of aggression on Ukraine. State Investment Board Chair Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford says the state has received and is now taking guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department related to Russian investments. Minnesota's more than $7.5 billion projected budget surplus has grown to over $9 billion. The state says it's a result of higher corporate tax collections and increased consumer spending. Office of Management and Budget Director Jim Showalter says the numbers could change depending on what happens with Russia and Ukraine.
Of course, if we do encounter problems in the next 16 months, our budget outlook is strong, and we're in a much better place to start working.
Republicans say the large surplus shows that taxes are too high, and they'll continue to push for a series of personal, business, and corporate tax reductions. 27. This is KFGO News. Mostly cloudy, 27. This is KFGO News. A large fire early this morning at the Insurance Auto Salvage Lot on 37th Street North in Fargo. That huge fenced-in lot is east of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. Battalion Chief Jason Ness says the initial call came in shortly after 1 this morning.
In this lot, there's typically about 1,000 cars that are parked in this lot. In the middle or in the center of the lot, there appeared to be a large group of cars that were burning. Crews were able to make entry into the secured entrance of the storage area, and we found about 23 cars, estimated 23 cars that were burning.
Ness, as a company spokesperson, told the fire department that on average each of those vehicles brought to the salvage yard to be sold at auction worth about $3,000. A 20-year-old woman who was house-sitting in southern Minnesota died over the weekend when the home exploded. Emergency crews responded to a report of an explosion and fire at a home northeast of Le Center. The owner of the home and his family were out of town. The woman was staying there to take care of the home and the dogs. Her body was found in the basement. The body was taken to the medical examiner's office in St. Paul. The cause of the explosion remains under investigation. The Red River Valley Fair has announced what it calls the biggest show in the history of the fair in West Fargo. Country star Tim McGraw will play the fair July 9th. That is opening day. McGraw is a Grammy Award-winning entertainer, author, and actor who has sold more than 80 million records with 44 number-one singles. Tickets will go on sale this Friday morning at 9. They'll range in price from $55 to $85 for reserved grandstand seating and $90 for general admission pit tickets. That does include gate admission. Fargo-Moorhead, we hit 36 earlier this afternoon at our KFGO studios, and we have turned cloudy now. We'll be cloudy tonight, a chance of light snow or mixed precipitation in the overnight hours, and some patchy fog may develop. 16, a light north wind. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, early morning patchy fog possible, chance of light snow or mixed precipitation by tomorrow night. Tomorrow's high near 27. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, 22. Thursday, mostly cloudy, another chance of light snow, and 18. Mostly cloudy, 27. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Derek, I want you to ponder this. We will talk about hockey and how hot of a streak UND's on. But the series finale of MASH aired on this day in 1983. 125 million viewers watching this in the last episode. What other series got that finale right? Because I can think of a lot of seasons or shows that they really goofed on their, not just the finale, Seinfeld, but in that last stretch of the series. So you think about that, but MASH, 125 million people watching an episode. Can you imagine? It's huge on this day. You think about that. You have a comment, 35270. You can send that into the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. Coming back to you right after this CBS National News.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
Robertson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voice of Sports.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
About 20 minutes away to that 5 o'clock punch out. Drive time news take you to 5:30. Timberwolves at Cleveland. 5:30 tip. That feels a little early, does it not?
Well, not in the East Coast when it's 7 o'clock. So it's 6:30. That's why it's kind of like baseball. When we played Cleveland, they start at 5:30 too.
Yeah.
So
it just feels early. I'm just saying, it feels too dang early on a Monday evening.
Not for me.
Yeah, I'm sure you're
listening on my way home, and it'll work out pretty well. So
you're driving east.
Yeah,
kind of to Barnesville.
They're playing pretty well. You know, it's they're kind of scratching and clawing. They may not get that 6th spot, so they'll have to maybe do a play-in game. But they're entertaining. That's that's all we can ask for at this point. If they can be an entertaining, relevant team at this point, that's a good stepping stone for a very young and talented
Now
team.
say they're young. Are you not entertained? Timberwolves are trying to entertain.
Yes.
UND entertaining as well. Hockey on a streak.
Wild are in a wrong streak. I mean, they need to get going.
I just saw the coaches saying, "Look, we've stopped being physical for the Minnesota. We've stopped being physical. We got to get that back in the game to turn this around."
Well, hopefully they can do it soon. They're in action tomorrow night too.
Very good. I'd ask. Okay, season finales, series finales. Said MASH happened on 1983.
I know. I was at a high school basketball game, and that was before VCR, so I've never seen the MASH finale because of that. It just wasn't.
There any moment at any given day you can. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be the finale, but MASH is on a number of those. You can get them right over the airwaves too. You don't have to have a cable package.
I know. It's not something I've never been one to grab on and watch a lot of old TV shows that I've seen over and over again. Like, now Cheers for one is a finale that did a pretty good job. They just closed the door in the bar and there you go, right? But I never got into watching those sitcoms over and over again. Like when it would come on after the news and stuff like that. Channel 4 had that forever before Letterman jumped over to CBS. That never really grabbed me. I've seen this one, but now 20 years later, I watch clips and stuff on YouTube, and man, that was a really funny show.
Yeah, right.
That was a genius show, way ahead of its time.
Yeah, Cheers was so good. How did Applebee's get the rights to that song?
Well, money.
But it's of all places. I'm sorry, Applebee's isn't exactly the local hangout where everyone's going to know your name.
No, but wasn't it when Nike got a John Lennon song or something? People were screaming like, "Oh my goodness!"
I think they had a Beatles song. Didn't they have Revolution?
Yeah, so there you have it. So that was like blasphemy for a lot of rock fans, for fans of rock and roll.
See,
so
I can understand. Well, I don't know that I understand, but I can accept that more than Applebee's.
Why?
Nothing here, and for all the Applebee's employees and people that pay, I've trust me, I've been. It doesn't fit with what the intent. Well, now the dark intent of the original song, but of that being utilized in that way, it just doesn't add up to me.
I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. I know it's nostalgic for you and all that, but money talks and you know what walks. So that's pretty much how it goes.
Thanks for cleaning that up for us.
If Bob Seger's "Like a Rock" could be turned into a Chevy commercial back in the 80s, I think
that makes sense. You're taking
how does that make
like
sense?
A rock.
Yeah, but how does a classic rock singer selling his soul for ads? Why is that any different and more acceptable than a TV sitcom from the 80s?
TV sitcom of that song that belongs somewhere else, not up like a rock.
It's Cheers.
Those vehicles are built like a rock. You can draw a line.
It's not
there.
like they took the Schindler's List theme and decided to make it into a song. I mean, it's a TV show.
Pull up some Bob Seger "Like a Rock" for us, Eric. I'll picture you can picture because every pickup commercial was the same. You're out there, you're doing some work. You got the leather gloves on, you got the Carhartt.
Right.
And then you're somehow out on a rocky plane to where you're having to use your vehicle that's built like a rock to climb a rock.
But a lot of artists would get criticized for selling their soul.
Tyler what badge is on the grill of his pickup.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I feel like I'm in a small town bar now talking about that. That's a whole different conversation. But
I'm a Chevy boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's
nothing but Chevy.
Oh yes, the arguments over the blue ovals and Rams and bow ties. Oh yes,
It's a beautiful bow tie.
I remember kids when I was on the bus screaming at each other about which tractor was to get. I mean, how silly was that to me?
And that was all just through the bloodline, man. That's just what the parents and grandparents.
That's when we had a lot more colors too. I mean, it's kind of red and green and a little bit of yellow somewhere. Yeah. There was orange and Steiger green and all that.
There was a tractor being filmed in Ukraine that was blue and white. That was towing an abandoned tank.
Yeah, good for
blue
them.
And white. I mean, I imagine that's something that they've concerned because they take a lot of equipment from here.
Sure.
They buy a lot of farm equipment from here.
When Ford was making things for Versatile, there were some blue ones.
Blue white.
All right, there. That's what I was asking. Thanks, Eric.
Well,
He's a
Ford
farm
tractors
kid,
are so a lot of people had blue Ford tractors around here, and I think they merged with New Holland, so that's kind of the colors of Ukraine's flag right now. I do believe, right?
Yeah, and most New
Yellow and
Holland's
blue.
yellow.
Yeah,
but it's got some blue in it too. So
Either way, I did enjoy watching that tractor that was probably built like a rock pulling that tank
for sure
that had been abandoned. How did we get here?
We were talking about Cheers, and it's and
Cheers.
you
You
being
said
all
the season
upset
finale.
that the Cheers theme is the most. It's like the Star Spangled Banner
There
for you. We
is
should never use it to sell ads.
I'm just saying you've got to be precise if you're going to be using it for an ad that it fits. See, but I mean, it's you think about sitcoms or TV show theme songs. Name one that's better than the Cheers.
I think
theme
what
song.
no, it's good. I think what you're getting at is it's nothing against Applebee's. We like Applebee's, but to think of that as the same type of get together hangout as the Cheers bar.
The Cheers bar.
That's
Thank
what
you.
you're that to be more precise of what you're saying,
That is
right?
exactly what I'm saying in fewer words, or a lot more words in my case.
Yes, but I think for a generation that doesn't even know who Coach and Woody and Cliff and Norm are. So that's that's the unfortunate part of it.
That is unfortunate. Get educated, get cultured, watch Cheers. That's your advice today on Afternoons Live.
That's a long way of saying Cheers was a good finale.
Yeah, Cheers was a good finale. I would add for mine, Breaking Bad.
That was the best ever.
Yeah, because you had the 4 seasons, and it ended the way it was supposed to end in a lot of our eyes.
Yep.
That was a good one.
Better than Dexter, which is now back again because
That's
it was
the
so
thing.
bad.
Yeah, because you have these finales that come on. It's like this didn't really satisfy the fans of that show, so then they come and they try over. What do you got, Aaron?
a show that people haven't heard of but did it well, The Americans.
Yeah,
About a family.
I watched a few of the first few episodes. It was really good. Then I just stopped watching it for whatever reason.
They stuck the landing. They did similar to Breaking Bad, told their story, and then finished.
And that's it.
Honorable mention: The Office. Last few seasons weren't great. Finale was phenomenal.
Finale, yes.
I have yet to see that. As much of a fan I was because they wore me out in the last couple seasons.
I know. And you're right, but
when Michael, when Steve Carell left, it just wasn't the same.
But they stuck the landing with the finale.
Yeah, they came back full circle. It was that Holly when Holly's character got introduced in The Office that I'm like, because it's just over the top for me.
But I do miss the Michael Scott moments where he felt uncomfortable watching the show.
Yes.
Some of the stuff he would do.
Of the shows that you just leave on in the background and you'll pay a little. Office is on, I think, all the time because, quite frankly, it's on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Let's get to that weather update. I got messages coming in. I think taking me to task about my stance on Applebee's. We'll find out. Sopranos comes in. Newhart had the best finale.
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation. Final 10 minutes of Afternoons Live next.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of independence.
Here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen, Couch
790.
Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Barbecue ribs.
You keep on talking about, though, I want some boneless wings from Applebee's right now.
Hop on over to 13th Avenue.
Yes.
And if they're playing that Cheers song, you let me know.
Well,
doesn't it make you feel all just kind of warm and fuzzy when you hear that piano?
Yes, for sure. It's good. It does make you think about going to that place where it's kind of nice to hang out. And then you get to the age where you just don't really care to hang out with anyone, and then you don't want to go to those places. I want to go where no one knows my name.
Just give me my damn order and leave me alone.
Exactly.
Curmudgeons, that's what we are.
It's got, for me, that as I get older, it's that way. I either want to go and socialize and really hang out with people, or I just want to go somewhere where I can be left alone, and it's strange.
Yeah, I think now a lot of people,
not much in between.
Yeah, a lot of people have experienced, but I worked from home for a couple of years before any of this craziness hit, to where I think that really changed. Where I don't even care if I'm visiting with somebody. I just like to be out amongst people.
Yeah.
So it's like if it's a sport, if I want to watch a game, yeah, I could stay home. But I like just being out in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So that changed my whole psyche working from home.
Yeah, that would do it. I could not work from home. I would not be able, especially in this godforsaken climate that we live in. I mean, because it would drive you crazy because you feel like you're in the house all the time, and then you can't really escape out. And then when it's really nice out, then you're stuck inside at home, and I'd want to be out. So it's really the worst of both worlds for me.
I tried it. It was cool right away, but it got old fast.
Oh yeah, those walls start closing in on you. But I know some people who really like working from home.
Oh yeah.
and I live with one. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's interesting.
See, though, there was an expectation when I was working from home and she wasn't that I was supposed to be doing house chores because I was working from home.
But you were working.
But I was working.
Yeah.
That's. I think a lot of people's expectations or understanding of working from home have changed because
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Go through it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize. Hey, if I'm locked in my computer and I got headsets on and I'm talking with people at work all the time, guess what? I don't have time to do the dishes. That type of thing.
The clothes will be folded another time. I'm not playing World of Warcraft or anything. I'm working right now. What's coming up on the Drive Time News? You got 30 minutes. You're going to get us halfway home.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on as far as Wall Street today. Get you your traffic and weather together. Another ride with Joel Heitkamp. And, of course, he's taking a few days off. We've encouraged him to take, vacation.
Yeah, shut your laptop off.
Yes. Don't listen to us. That's what we always say. Don't listen to us. You're getting away for a while. And, of course, the KFGO Morning Crew, Music Rewind. CBS will give us an update on what happened on Wall Street, all that. So, and Matt English with sports, and he's got a game tonight, too, over on the Fan.
So are we kind of back on track as far as the schedule goes? Because, last week we lost 3 days.
Why would you say that? Why? Why
did I jinx you?
Why did you say yes? We are until Snow-Nami comes this weekend.
Yeah,
so
this was Saturday, Sunday. Might be a weather event. Of course, it's got to be on the weekend.
Yeah, well, if they can get most of the stuff in for Saturday, I'm guessing in Grand Forks the girls' Class B will be pretty locked in, right? I mean, they're going to be up there anyway, so I'm sure they'll be able to get that in. But it's still a headache, that's for sure.
Yeah. I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again. We thank the plow drivers, we thank the highway patrol, but those athletic directors that had to go out there and make sure this works.
Well, this time you're the tournament directors too, right? So they got to get all the refs there. They got to make sure everything's, the travel's right. It cannot be fun whatsoever.
Not at all. I cannot imagine. Derek Hanson's got the Drive Time News coming up. Folks, again, tomorrow we'll be telling you about this fundraiser that's going, or not a fundraiser, pardon me, donation. It's to make you feel good. And there's a lot of participation that's going on. For those children in need in the community, we'll tell you about that. Also, I told you, because we've been talking about it throughout the day here when it comes to energy independence. All right, let's do away with all that Russian oil imports. Let's do it right here in America. Sounds great. I'm all for it. Can it be done? We'll visit about that as well, and so much more going on throughout the week. Got a busy week for you. The Sportsman Show's going on. We're going to be broadcasting live. We're back on the road this Friday. Fargo-Dome. I'd encourage you to stop on up on Ogano. Doors will be there. The Jack Michaels Show will be there as well on our sister station, 740 The Fan. We've got audibles. We've got the usual suspects on a Thursday, and so much more coming up later on this week. But, folks, that's it for me today. Tomorrow, we'll be back at it again. You get where you're going safe. Enjoy the warm evening, and I use the term warm lightly here, knowing what might be in store for us this weekend. But you take care of yourselves. I'm Tyler Axis, your host on Afternoons Live. I'll be back tomorrow for more of the show. You take care. I'll check in right here on 790 AM and 104.7 FM, KFGO.
Steve Halverson here with another Dardis Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller.